Ladies and gentlemen, we're back live. Welcome on this wonderful Thursday here in May, and welcome back to episode number 3 of what we call Entrepreneurs Life. I'm super stoked about the guests that I'm able to bring to you today. His name is Matteo Grassi, and we've been in touch over the years quite a lot. I was just amazed by how he developed and what he has built. So let me try to summarize what you have done over the last couple of years, and then please correct me because probably I'm wrong, right? So, and I'll partly read that because it's pretty cool. So, first of all, you have a really diverse background. So, ranging from breakdancing, semi-professional breakdancing, I believe, right, to founding Pop Up, which is a no-code e-commerce platform. So that's a Saas business, and we definitely got to talk about this. But you've worked in various fields, including brand strategy, which I think you didn't like that much, or did you? Well, we covered that. You've established an NGO, so that's an entrepreneurial activity definitely as well. And also, you run a support group for male founders, which I find super interesting. So I guess you're not the biggest fan of like the hustle culture and all of that, or are you?
Oh, that's actually a very good question. I'm not a big fan of anyone that says that there is a one size I think fit all to entrepreneurship or in general. So I think it's like when people say, "Hey, you have to do this to be able to achieve that." I think it really depends on who you are, and really depends on what you want. And I think it really depends on the audience as well, right? So I think it's in a way I think I'm more like work smart rather than work hard. But I think I'm more about I think finding your passion and then naturally you're gonna hustle without feeling the detrimental effects of hustling, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm kind of against this peddling the hustle culture, but at the same time, there's no one that builds something amazing without extreme hard work, right? So it doesn't exist. In fact, it's like, oh, if you chill and stuff like that, amazing things are gonna happen to you. But for me, it was like I love what I do. So when I hustle, I never feel like I have to hustle. I just moved by my, I guess, purpose.
That's a very good start. I love that.
Yeah.
Although I might add that I've had times in my life when I did feel like I'm centered, I'm passionate about something, and I want to push it forward. But then I ended up being quite close to burnout because sometimes you just don't know when it's enough, right? What do you think
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I think the issue that I see is like entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And I made this mistake a lot of the time of trying to inspire people. Of like, hey, you should do this, you should do that. And that was wrong because there's nothing wrong of not wanting to be an entrepreneur and just wanting to have a 9 to 5 job and the rest of the time just enjoy life and not doing anything else. I mean, there's nothing wrong in that. And I think sometimes I'm against people that are trying to push entrepreneurship as a way of life to everyone and to the masses. And this is a mistake that I did as well. I put myself in that bucket too, because you love it and you feel excited and you can see as well a lot of like amazing things that happen to you by becoming an entrepreneur. But then you realize some people are not cut out for it. And then you realize it's like you're pushing basically someone to a path that they're going to fail. And probably it's better just to get a 9 to 5 job. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's true. I
That's what I
mean, it
do.
depends on the job then, right? But as long as
Yeah.
you still
Yeah.
are able to follow your passion, right, and
Yeah.
live that life, that
Yeah,
that
just
that's
find a
kind of
job
the
that you like. Find a job that you like and spend the time that you don't work just trying to do what you enjoy, and that's it. And some people are going to be entrepreneurs and some people are not.
I actually think being an entrepreneur is the wrong choice for most people, right? Because actually you do have to be a bit crazy, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, if I look at my normal day, most people are like, "What the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing?" I'm like, "I'm living my life. I love it." But yes, sometimes I'm just fucking exhausted. I could like fall asleep just standing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
I know. I know.
okay. So I want to dive a little bit into your story because again, I find it very fascinating. You have moved to a lot of places, but also to a lot of different businesses, right? You were originally born in a small Italian village, right? Where about?
It's central Italy, like I think most people will know Tuscany, so I would say kind of in that kind of area. But the village is like 250 people, so
All right.
tiny.
Okay. So it's a beautiful landscape, beautiful area.
Beautiful landscape,
But for an entrepreneur,
great opportunities.
maybe there is more exciting places.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. So share with us a little about like the moments that really shaped you, be it in your youth or along the journey. What was it that contributed most to your personal and professional growth?
I think I don't know. It's been a long one. It's funny because I think I was always fascinated by people since very young age, and but I never had like a role model of entrepreneurs in my life. Right, I come from both my parents like working class, and also I never had like this role model of like being an entrepreneur. And also I think Italy as well, it's a very caste society, meaning that you don't have this mentality of like, hey, you can come from a working class, but then you become anything you want. It's like you come from a working class, you stay working class. But I was always fascinated by people. That's why I started studying this psychology. And I think I ended up being an entrepreneur because I was literally fascinated by people and solving problems and how to kind of market to those people and how to kind of promote the ideas. And that's it. And that's basically how I decided, I think, and that's why I got passionate of entrepreneurship. But I didn't know at the time. I just knew I was fascinated by people and what was in their mind. But I think after psychology, I realized that there was not much opportunity, and the brand strategy and brand marketing. That I think was the pivotal moment where I realized that I know I have all this knowledge and this passion of figuring out what these people had, and now there is something that relates to marketing that I can actually shift this knowledge into something that is not psychology, into something different. And that was kind of the pivotal moment where I moved away from like these health, mental health, and figuring out people to actually marketing and selling and design and all of this. That was the kind of the brand strategy, right? And I did it for 1 year, but that was the moment that I was like, okay, I know now where my career path is going to be.
Oh wow, so that was very important for you. Okay, did I get that correctly? That you were studying psychology and
Yeah, I'm a
basically,
psychologist.
okay,
I'm a clinical psychologist. Yeah, yeah,
you're a clinical psychologist.
yeah,
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, okay, and you were looking for a way to use that knowledge differently
yeah.
than becoming a doctor, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I was like, I know I don't want to work on a clinical setting. I don't want to do psychotherapy. So, but I'm fascinated about people. How do I blend the two together? And I met this guy, and he's a brand. He had like a corporate and consumer identity branding agency in Milan that was very much focused on this type of like really figuring out the branding, the archetypes, and making this brand human. And he met me like I was working in the bar actually at the time, and he met me and we started talking about psychology and my background and all of this. And was like, hey, why don't you come to work for me and you become a brand strategy and you bring all these psychology knowledge of like behavioral psychology as well, purchasing psychology. And then I started kind of expanding into kind of the psychology of marketing. Yeah, because marketing is psychology at the end of the
I
day.
think, yeah, I
With
think I
data.
think this is fascinating because if entrepreneur would be a job role, right? Which it is and it is not, right? But
Mhm.
if it was, the fascinating thing is that you can enter this job um, from like any background, right? It doesn't really matter. Obviously, some foundation is helpful, right? And obviously, you got to learn along the way what it means to actually building a business, right? Because that
Mhm.
in the end is something entrepreneurs do, right? But you can be a clinical psychologist, right? Or come from any other area in life. If you want to change something, build something, right, and follow your passion, then doing your own stuff might be an interesting choice. Okay, but then you got to tell me, how does breakdancing fit in here? I think you traveled the world with a circus and crazy shit like this. Is this part of what you consider an important part of you becoming a successful entrepreneur, or is that just something else?
Yeah, at the time, I didn't think about anything. I just wanted to travel. I just wanted to get out. I just want to. I think I was always fascinated about people, but obviously my background in Italy and where I'm coming from, I didn't have enough, people to actually be fascinated with. So I actually moved to New York because of that. I was like, what is the only place one of the places in the world where I can just go in one place and I can be exposed to this kind of melting pot of cultures. And there was an opportunity with dancing at the time of to actually getting to be able to actually get a visa, like a student visa in Broadway, like in Broadway Dance School. And so I kind of took the opportunity and started traveling. And the idea was like, I moved to New York and I'm going to be a dancer, and I don't know, I'll figure it out eventually. And once I was there, all these people, all this melting pot of culture kind of started to kind of, fascinate me. And then I wanted to know more. And so I started to travel. I was like, I don't want to go back to Italy. I just want to see the world. And I think entrepreneurship came to be literally because I was trying to solve the problem. Is like, what is the job that I can do while I can travel that is going to allow me to travel and live whatever I want? And at the time, there was no remote work. I'm talking about 2003, 2004. Remote work wasn't a thing. And a friend of mine had an eBay store and an e-commerce business. And he was like, oh, I sell online. I sell on eBay. I'm making like 2 grand a month. And he was living in Thailand. And I was like, I want to do this. So that's how I started in e-commerce. I started in e-commerce, and then obviously I was like, you need to sell to people, you need to market. And then I blended the knowledge that I had in marketing and psychology to try to push the e-commerce store. And I got fascinated about selling products and solving problems. And my e-commerce journey literally started like this.
This is fascinating. So a couple of things I take from this here. And by the way, if you're watching this live, right, make sure to comment, right, on whatever platform you're watching this. Comment, and we will actually see it here, and we can blend it in. We can ask questions, right? We only do this for 20 minutes, but take your chance, ask the questions here, comment, right? We would love to get your feedback on this and your questions as well. Two things I got from what you just said is that, first of all, you basically started this as a side hustle, right? Because you were chasing something else, you were living something else, and you needed to support that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And this is when you started a side hustle that grew into something amazing. And I want to speak about what you built with that in a second. The second thing I'm taking from this here is that you you really gotta start with what you have, right? So you, with your background in psychology and a contact who was running ecom back in the days, right? And I think this is the important thing, because a lot of people don't get started because they believe they are missing something, and maybe they do, but only if you start, you will figure it out along the way. So what you figured out is turning very little money. I don't know how much you started with. You'll share in a second, I hope. You started with this, and within a very short period of time, you built an e-commerce business that did, I think, 16 million in revenue or something like
That
this.
was way after, actually.
Well, share more about this, please.
Yeah, that was way after. It was about 4 failures before that. Like
Oh,
big ones too. Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
me, tell me, tell me
So
about the failures.
so the eBay business broke even because at the end of the day, I wasn't able to acquire traffic on the website, and eBay eventually is really hard to scale. And also, I wasn't drop shipping. I actually bought stock, right? So the issue that I had, it was like I wasn't able to sell over all the stock, so some was a dead stock, and I had to buy more stock, and basically I folded it, so I kind of broke even there. Then I started a natural healthcare company, which was kind of like, okay, so maybe I'll do something more local, and I was in Ireland at the time already. And I met this woman that was kind of producing these natural cosmetics, and the branding and the website was total garbage, but the product were really, really cool. So the idea was like, hey, you make the product, I launched the site, I basically go, direct to consumer, and it started going quite good. But then she had the brand name and everything, and she wasn't really pulling through. So at the end of the day, I kind of stepped back. So I left pretty much with nothing because, it was a partnership, but she had the name of the company. I literally just put a lot of work into it, and I didn't get anything out of it. But then, thanks to that, I was able to get a job in Shopify because I needed kind of a break. So after a while, I was like, I kind of done with this. I just want to break. And Shopify was offering work from home, work remotely.
Right.
They were employing here in Ireland, and I was kind of the first Shopify Plus in Europe. The Shopify Plus was really at the very, very beginning. So I stayed in Shopify for a couple of years, and I left because at the end of the day, I think I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And what was happening is like I had all these Shopify Plus clients, and I was kind of not sleeping at night and thinking about their business, of how can improve. And I was like, this is not working out, because it shouldn't work like this. You're working from 9 to 5, and then you
I
finish.
was just saying, so the workload was too high, and this is why you became an entrepreneur.
No,
That's a very logical choice.
I was making myself. Basically, I was involved. I was treating their business like mine.
Right.
And because I was like, I wanted that, and I was, my passion for their business, their product. I was overworking, and I didn't have to. And I
Right.
felt like, okay, that was the point. Actually, another pivotal time in my life where I was like, I will never work for someone else again, because I know that in my nature, I will always try to do my own thing.
Right.
And that's where I then co-founded an e-commerce accelerator with a guy that I met in Shopify. It did quite good. We did I don't know, we did 22 million. Yeah, we did 22 million in 2 years. We did 4.5 million in 1.5 months. That was like a crazy story where we sold this product and then we got banned from all the platforms because they couldn't produce. Yeah, it was like a mess. So anyways, I made the mistake as well not to kind of sign papers and not to do like the whole share thing. So I stepped out of the business because I felt that I wanted to move away from drop shipping and I wanted to actually create a brand. And I left with pretty much nothing. So I did quite a bit of,
Again.
yeah, again. Yeah. So at the time, I called a friend of mine that I met in Shopify, Corey, which is my current business partner. And I said, hey, dude, why don't we just maybe start like a small store? So I have lots of contacts and I have like, like fulfillment center. I built this massive network and I really learned how to scale Facebook ads at the time as well. So I left with a lot of like no money, but a lot of knowledge at the same time. And actually, I'm thankful for that. And yeah, we started like with the headphone store. We sold headphones. We did like, I think 60, 70K in profit within the 2 months. And then we invested them. And then we scaled from like $1,000. We ended up doing 60 million in revenue with 6 or 7 different e-commerce brands. And then we had all this money sitting there and we were like, well, it's COVID, so we can't go anywhere. We can't spend them. So why don't we take this money and build something? And that's where Pop-Up as an e-commerce platform, the first idea of Pop-Up was actually born.
That's fantastic. That's a great story. I love how you explain how you failed, right? How you went away with nothing, apart from a lot of learnings, right? And with those takeaways in mind, you build the next step. And I
Yeah.
think this is really great. So um, tell me within a minute, if you can, what you're doing with Pop-Up now, right? And why you're focusing on a SaaS business now and not on an e-com business. I think our audience would appreciate our insights on
Yeah,
that.
it's true. No, this is a great question. And I think it's like you arrived to a point, and I think was both myself and Corey was the same. I think you hit the point where you're like, what's next? You're mastering ecom, right? And then you're like, what's really exciting? It is selling products, right? But what is even more exciting is when you give a product to someone, and then with this product, they can create anything they want. So it's kind of the fascination of actually see what people are going to be able to do with your product. While with fashion or any product, it's unilateral, right? I give you this product, you wear the t-shirt, that's it, it's finished, right? With the platform like Papa, it's like I give you this e-commerce platform and then you can do anything. You can create anything you want. So it's really, and both myself and him were really, really drawn into this type of what is the next step for us. And it was a big challenge because, I mean, in terms of like marketing, growing an e-com business, I know a lot. Growing a SaaS business, I have no clue. Like I never done it. I mean, you're still selling product, you're still selling to people. There are still some best practices, right? That you can do, but I never done it on my side. And Corey, at the same time, I mean, he's an amazing software engineer, but never built like a full-on SaaS with a team of 34 people, right? It was really, really a challenge of like, let's get out of our comfort zone and yeah, let's try this out.
That's really cool. I love that. I have not seen a vision. I've not seen a why that drives somebody forward in a way that you just described it. I think this is
Yeah.
very powerful, right? And I think this is so cool for people who are entrepreneurs or want to start their own business, right? Um, Obviously, a lot of people say start with the why, right? But you can see here with Matteo how the why really puts him into a lot of different directions and how he glows when he talks about giving other people an opportunity to build their own thing, right? And enabling that. I find that fascinating. We're officially almost at the end of our time, but I want to touch upon one more topic because I find that very outstanding as well. You started an organization, a community, and I'm very much about community building. So I'm fascinated about what you're doing here for male entrepreneurs
Mhm.
where they can really share their problems. But you being a psychologist, now I understand that better, have started like a safe space for them to exchange because entrepreneurship can be a shit show. It can be hard, right? And especially as like alpha male dominated societies, it might be hard to share your struggles. So tell a little bit about what it is. And in this case, please also share where people can find it, because I think this is a great
Yeah.
initiative.
Yeah, to me it was again. I think I was the same thing with pop up. Like we created pop up because we were trying to solve our problems. We are running all these e-commerce business. We're trying to solve our problems, and with Anonym, literally, I was like, I don't have any. I want to talk to some people about what I'm going through, and there's no one out there. So maybe I'll just create a community and for that. And I don't want to be sexy or polarizing, but entrepreneurship is hard. But I specifically focus on men because I do feel that we are an underserved category in terms of community. I think women communities are more present and relevant. And actually, when I was searching, there was literally nothing for men. And I do feel that men entrepreneurs go through similar things that women do, but also different on the other end, especially expectation of being a father, being a man, not being able to share. And also, like, as you said, I think the idea that you cannot, you cannot just fail. You always have to be, strong and always have to be on top, right? And I think that's the reason why I started it. And also I realized there was like 3 or 4 experts that I spoke to that were literally focusing with men CEOs or entrepreneurs, literally just working with men. And I realized I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is interesting. So there is actually experts that just work with men. So what I did, I brought them into the community and acting like moderators, right? So I am struggling like now with the community to actually get engagement. So we've been thinking with to actually turning into maybe like an app or something like that. So I think this is going to be a next phase, I think, for Anonym. It's just really finding the time because it's free. So I just do it out of my own time.
I think it's a great initiative. If you want to speak about building community and stuff like this, I'd be happy to have a chat. It's what I do all the time now. I
Yeah.
love it. And having you here is helping build this community of entrepreneurs. So let's close here. And let me say thank you again for jumping on this show with us. For whoever is watching this here, please, if you want, get in touch with Matteo. Look up what he's doing. I think he's a great dude, a great inspiration. So again, thank you, Matteo, for joining us here at Entrepreneurs Life.
Thank you, Philip. Thanks for having me.
All right, goodbye, guys. I'll see you